This is the best time in the history of the world to be a musician or to be a creative. You can call this a rant, you can call it whatever you want, but I've been having conversation after conversation after conversation for the past few years, and like I've had it up to here with it, of people talking about how the music industry is falling apart. Oh, it's changing for the worse. We need to go back to the old ways. It is such a ridiculous conversation to me. Because right now, the tools and resources we have right now available to us as musicians are better than any that have ever been in the history of time. We have the resources, we have the people that want to watch, the eyes, the internet. Like, this thing has been changed. The whole game has been broken open. And that's a good thing. But if I hear one more musician talk about how it's the demise of the music industry and how because, big recording studios are going out of business, or because labels are starting to see, they're starting to tank, or because popular music, good. I hope all that stuff happens, because you know what? They're holding on to old business models. The music industry is changing, and that's a good thing. As long as humans have been alive, we've evolved, we've adjusted to the times. And actually, the anomaly, the weird thing, has been the past 100 or so years. Before then, if you wanted to hear music, what did you do? You went and heard music. You went to a concert. You went to the theater. You went and saw them play. You went to a church that they played at. Bach was the organist at a church, or, whatever it may be. You went to actually see the person. And then we discovered something. We discovered how to take this intangible thing, these sound waves, and we discovered how to put them on a disc, on this object, a plastic thing, so that we could play them even when the musician wasn't there. And what happened when we did that was we created a product. And that's when the business side came in and stepped in between the artist and the consumer, the artist and their fans, okay? Now we had middlemen. Who were those middlemen? Publishers, booking agents, distribution, record labels, management. All of them are in between you and your fan base, right? They're middlemen. They're gatekeepers. You want to get over here to your fans? Got to go through us. You want to book a bunch of shows at great venues? Got to go through us. You want to have your album out there in front of everybody? Got to go through us. They were gatekeepers, and what the internet did was it just wiped them out. And people are freaked out because that business model's going away. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier to see the large labels and the mainstream stuff that is shoved down people's throat. I could not be happier, because here's the thing that the recording industry is not concerned about. They're concerned about a product, a physical product. They're concerned about bottom dollar, bottom line, maximizing profits. That's what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about the artist. They're not concerned about the fans. They're not concerned about making sure that there's a connection between those two, that the art is portrayed how it needs to be. They're concerned about the bottom line and about making money. They're concerned about supporting the monster, supporting this infrastructure that they've made. And this started happening back in the 70s. Whenever punk rock came around and they started flipping the middle finger at record labels and telling them, we're not going to do what you want us to do. And then that kind of got sidelined, and we saw this, hair bands and glam rock, and then all of a sudden what came in? Grunge came in and completely derailed that. I've talked to A&R guys that were in the industry at that time, and they knew when they heard Nirvana's first, they're like, oh man, this is over. Like, this whole heyday of printing money over here we've been doing with the hair bands in the 80s, that's over. And then the internet followed that up and completely dismantled the system. But just because it's changing does not mean it's bad. It means there's a transition time. The internet is the greatest thing that has happened to music or creatives in the history of the world, period. Like, get some perspective on how lucky you are to be alive right now and why today is the best day ever. We have social media, we have internet. You can literally reach people in China or Australia or Finland or wherever you may want to reach them. You can reach your niche, and you can get your music to those people that love it. Even if there's only 3,000 people in the whole world that love whatever weird thing you do, they're there, and you can get to them. We have the means to get to them. It's now A to C. It's artist to consumer, right? It's A to F, artist to fan. That's what has happened with the music industry, and that's a good thing. And it's sad for the guys that have been making a living in a certain way, touring, doing tons of recording sessions, because that stuff's all drying up. But see, we have to shift our mindset. We have to shift from that was how it was, this is how it is now. We have to shift from thinking, I'm going to grow up and be a full-time studio musician and play in all these big studios and have 8 sessions a day. That ain't going to happen. You know why? Because it's different. The market is different. Those large studios are having trouble staying afloat. Why? Because you have boutique studios, you have small niche studios, you have guys like me that are recording out of very small rooms and are making Grammy like they are doing the thing and they're doing it from their own place. And it involves us becoming retooling ourselves and learning about this new marketplace, the new area that we're in. Get some perspective on this. That's the thing that we have to have from this. Imagine Bach, like he's just writing his fugues and he's playing his organ and he's teaching the people in the church and, you know, he's doing his thing, the thing that Bach did. He was well known in his little area, but outside of there, like nobody. Imagine if you showed up one day, Bach, and you're like, look, I know you're here, like writing your, you know, stuff in the candlelight and you're trying to do the thing and really make a mark and nobody understands it, but look, there's this thing that'll actually capture sound and it'll actually capture your image like you're in this thing. It's called video and it's sound and we can put that on this thing that's in this cloud called the internet and it goes out to the world. Your music could be heard by the world. Literally, we can record it and in minutes we can have it posted to the entire world. Imagine the perspective of someone like Bach that has been just like, this is his world. It opens everything up. You see, whenever you look at it from that point, and you see that the anomaly is the last 100 or so years where we have superstars that go on tour around the world and fill up stadiums, and that's the anomaly. We're actually getting back to what music has always been, and that's art. Music for the sake of art, making it for those people that appreciate that art. That's what we're getting back to. But unless you understand that things are changing, unless you are willing to step back and look at the new music landscape, you're going to take a nosedive into the dirt. If you hang on to the old ways, you're like, we need to get back streaming revenue, and we need to learn how to get the publishing into, we need all that stuff. It's gone. It's like saying, if you're holding back onto that and saying, oh, we need to go back to physical copies, or we need to go back to whatever it may be, it's like saying we need to go and drive cars like the Flintstones did. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a ridiculous conversation. And if you'll get your head out of social media long enough to look up and go, wow, okay, it's actually not that bad. I'm not struggling. That's the thing. Somebody says, well, you'll be a struggling musician. You're just going to, you're going to try to do that. You might as well be better off getting a job or starting some little business and just do that on the side. I can give you a list a mile long of musicians that are not struggling, happy doing what they're doing. They're working their butts off because it's work. See, that's the thing. A lot of people don't want to do it. It's work. Any job is work, but it's also a passion. I'm not struggling. I can name off a ton of people that aren't struggling, but they're doing things in such a unique way and they're embracing the new landscape that they're having tons of success that they would not have had 20, 30 years ago because that infrastructure is crumbling and the whole game is different. So if you're 10 or 12 or 14 or you're young, you're just going into college, or you're the parent of a kid, I've talked to so many parents lately, I can't tell you, that are concerned because they're hearing like, oh, the music business is in trouble. Yeah, the music business is in trouble. That whole infrastructure monster they created, that's falling. The rest of us, we're doing just fine. Join our group, join what we're doing, okay? And if you're willing to look at that and really learn your craft and really learn some things, the basics of recording, the basics of what style you love playing, the basics of social media and how do we get our things out there, how do you operate a video camera, how can we record our band, if you start to understand some of those things and then really begin to give quality content to your fans, you'll be amazed at what you're able to do. Because I'm telling you, the tools we have never been available to anyone. And so if you'll stop getting depressed that, Johnny didn't like the video that you posted on Instagram, if you'll get your head out of that and really realize that these are tools that musicians can use and that this is hands down the best time ever, whether it be for publishing, whether it be for music creation, whatever you want to do, this is the best time ever to do that. We're so fortunate to have this opportunity. Industries go through shifts like this, and it's the ones that are working in the industry at that time that it's bad for. The cats that have been out on the road and they only know how to do that and they're close to retirement age, or the cats that have been doing the studio work and like that's all they know to do, and they want to go back to the old way, but we can't. Cat's been let out of the bag. We have to go forward, and we have to learn how to embrace this new atmosphere of streaming and downloads and people consuming content and figuring out different ways to monetize our artwork rather than have someone stand in between us and our fans. The music publishing industry had to go through this years ago, because publishing used to be about like sheet music, actual music in your hands. That's what publishing was. And now it's not anything about that. Publishing's about how many spins did you get at this radio station, or how many times was this, or the ad revenue off of this video that somebody played over and made another version on it, or this gym played your songs and did they pay their rights to the publisher? It's completely different than it used to be. So is the music industry changing? Oh yeah, drastic changes. Drastic changes. But they're for the better if we'll begin to look at it in that light. I saw this coming years ago, 10, 11 years ago. I moved to Nashville, I started looking at the landscape, and I'm like, this isn't looking good. This isn't what I thought I was stepping into. This is changing. Everything's changing. Guys on the road are, they're saying tours are bringing in reduced revenues. It's harder to make a living out there. They want to come home, but the studio work's drying up. And so I chose just to get out of the whole game and say, I'm just going to retool. I'm going to retool and figure out how to do this, figure out how to work this new machine that is being created because of the internet, okay? And I did. And then I got back into it. I couldn't be happier. I'm doing what I love. I'm teaching. I'm playing music. I'm playing live gigs. Like, it just took me stepping back and going, okay, this is the new landscape. Wish it could go back to what it was, because that's when I was a kid coming up. That's what I thought I'd do, but we can't do that. Can't go backwards. So let's go forward. Let's play with this game. And it's better than I ever thought it could be. But you got to change your mindset. If I see one more comment about, oh, you're just going to struggle, or oh, it's so hard, or oh, come on. That's hogwash, man. It is better than it's ever been. You just got to learn the new game. So if you get nothing else from this, just understand this is the best time in the history of the world that you can be a musician. You need to get some perspective on where we are and where we've come from and what could be happening, but now what is happening. Look up some cases of musicians that are just crushing it, doing things in the new method and in this new environment, and then get inspired. Go create some art. Go make some music. And stop talking bad about the music industry like it's falling apart. It's just changing. Things are shifting. If you're going to college, you're college age, or you're, like I said, 10, 11, 12, you're a parent, never been a better time. I could be more optimistic about it. I'm so excited. I mean, I got kids of my own, and I'll tell them all day, it's like, this is the best time. You got to go do this. And I'm really passionate about it because I talk to students and parents and people that are in other jobs and musicians every day, and they're nothing but negative because that's what they're hearing. The music industry is falling apart. It's not. It's changing. It's changing for the better. And the sooner you embrace that, the sooner you're going to have success with it.